Bo Nix is my 16th ranked player in the 2024 draft class, 4th ranked quarterback. He had an outstanding 5th year of college, really showing his growth and development since his time at Auburn. And if you would have told me a few years ago that I'd end up having a first round grade on Bo Nix, I'd probably laugh at that. But I think what he brings to the table as a quarterback prospect is being underrated by a lot of people. A few years ago, I was in school studying engineering, and I just wasn't excited about doing that every day for the rest of my life. And I decided to start this YouTube channel and make the jump to covering sports full time, and it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. And today's video is sponsored by Southern New Hampshire University's online sports management program, which lets you turn your passion for sports into a degree. Their programs are led by faculty with real-world experience in sports, giving you the unique chance to learn from professionals and graduates, all while building connections in the industry. So if you're wanting to get your foot in the door in the sports world, go to snhu.edu/A to Z sports, also linked in the description, to see if you qualify for SNHU's sports management program. So the first place I want to go with the Bo Nix conversation is looking at his stats. If you just look at his raw box score, it's incredibly impressive, and it had him in the conversation for the Heisman Trophy. 45 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, almost 4,500 yards in his final season at Oregon. That's more yards, more touchdowns, and fewer interceptions than Drake May, Jaden Daniels, and Caleb Williams had last year. But the box score rarely tells anything close to the whole story. That's just not a good way of evaluating quarterback prospects. And the common response you get to saying that Bo Nix is a good quarterback prospect is that most of his production came off of screens and yards after the catch. And that's kind of true. He led college football quarterbacks with 762 yards off of screen passes last season. He had a very low average depth of target at 6.8 yards. That was the 5th lowest in college football. The raw production with Bo Nix is not indicative of how good of a quarterback prospect he is or how good of a quarterback he was last year, but I don't have a high grade on Bo Nix because he put up these crazy numbers. It's based on how he looked when he was asked to operate more NFL style concepts and push the ball down the field. I would say he has above average arm talent. He can make every throw but doesn't necessarily have a cannon, and he's a good athlete. He's got straight line speed. You'll see him juke defenders out in the open field. Not a Jaden Daniels level runner, but definitely someone that can be productive on read options and outrun defenders as a scrambler. And based on the traits and tools really outside of his height, you can see why he was a 5-star prospect coming out of high school. I was impressed with his ability to operate within structure and attack the middle of the field. He throws dig routes into tight windows against zone coverage with good anticipation. He hits his receivers in stride, gets rid of the ball with ideal timing, and he has a good sense for when those zone coverage windows are opening up, and hardly ever throws interceptions or interception-worthy passes. He's quick and decisive as a processor. He's efficient getting through his reads, doesn't linger on the first read if it isn't open, and that's something that'll make it easier to adjust to NFL speed when the passing lanes are open and closed in the blink of an eye. He does a great job of avoiding sacks. His 7.6% pressure to sack conversion rate is tied for the lowest of the top quarterbacks in this class with Michael Penix Jr. He's able to manipulate space and dance around the pocket to avoid pressure. He also has the play strength to brush off contact. He does have a tendency to bail from clean pockets pretty often. That's something I'd like to see him clean up, but the ability or inability to avoid sacks is something that's shown to be pretty stable translating from college to the NFL. When he does break outside of the pocket, he's extremely accurate throwing on the run. He's able to make movement throws with consistent ball placement, rolling out in either direction. And when he's out on the move, I thought he did a good job of using his eyes to manipulate underneath defenders. He's able to make those no-look throws where he's using his vision to widen out passing lanes. His decision-making overall was much improved from what we saw at Auburn. I thought the majority of his bad decisions came when he was outside of the pocket. There were 2 plays specifically in the red zone where he just threw up a prayer into triple coverage, but when he's operating from within the pocket, it's overall very clean decision-making. His accuracy was a little bit up and down. His biggest problem is that he just doesn't throw from a consistent base. Even on plays where he's unpressured, he has a terrible habit of drifting away from a clean pocket. He kind of creates off-platform throws for himself when he doesn't really need to, and the inconsistent footwork is my biggest concern with Bo Nix. I've said it before in a mock draft video, I think, but Bo Nix with good footwork would be a top 10 prospect to me. And then he's effective throwing with touch, especially down the sideline. He's able to just drop it in the bucket, doesn't lose a whole lot of power or velocity when he has to elevate the trajectory. And my last negative for Bo Nix is just age and the fact that it took him 5 seasons in college football to become a first-round quarterback prospect. It's not something that's going to tank someone's draft grade. It's just ideally you want the players that came in and were good immediately. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy the video, make sure to like and subscribe. Also, let me know in the comments any NFL draft prospects that you'd like me to cover. And if you want to see my full draft board as an interactive filterable table, I've got that up at A to Z sports.com. The link to that is in the description.